Hey, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of the ShopNotes podcast. This is episode number 147. It's Phil, John, and Logan for a very special day today. We're going to be talking about managing expectations, some pattern bit woes, inspired by projects, and shop snacks. Today's episode is brought to you by Epilog Laser. Quickly and easily customize your woodworking projects for added beauty and value. Learn more at epiloglaser.com. Then last episode we did was on pets in the shop, and also multiple routers was part of it. So a couple of comments here. Doug writes, I'm new to woodworking and woodsmith. Welcome, Doug. I've powered through all 146 episodes and actually learned a few things. And we offer our condolences. I made a strip kayak and felt like sending it to a Viking funeral a few times. I now understand good woodworkers do make mistakes, but know how to fix and hide it. Thanks for the knowledge and confidence boost. Now comes the hard part, waiting a week between episodes.
Wait, was that, you said his name was Doug?
Yeah.
Is this Doug that I know on Facebook?
I don't know.
I'm going to say it
Probably.
I think it is.
There's only one Doug.
Well, he just finished the Cedar Strip Canoe, and I've been kind of bouncing questions off of him and stuff.
Okay.
So
maybe.
All right. And if it is Doug, his canoe turned out.
All right.
It was nice.
Okay.
Eric appreciates the Shoptimus Prime reference that we had, and also Shop Voltron. Got a big laugh. First time listening, don't know your names yet. New sub today. Thanks, Eric. E.G. Blue Suede said, by the way, CRI stands for Color Rendering Index. 100 is how colors would look in natural sunlight. So the higher CRI of your lighting, the more natural colors will look in your shop. Most of my shop has high lumens so I can see better, but I have a select section in my shop with really high CRI lamps, extra dollar signs, so I can evaluate finishes.
And that, I think, is where a lot of the price on high-end lights comes from, is that CRI value.
Right.
Like lumens, I don't think really makes that big a deal or difference in price, but yeah, it's the CRI.
Yeah. Alfreda158 says, I can hear it now. Shopsmiths transform. Shoptimus Prime. Still laughing. Thank you. And then here's one you responded to on the YouTube comment, Logan, but I think it would be kind of interesting for you to just talk about it. Don't know if Logan has mentioned this in the past or if it's something he's comfortable with addressing, but since he's doing Popwood articles filming related to it, can the build, etc. of your new shop be a business expense or a write-off? I have a healthy jealousy, but still happy for him on his addition and would hope that could be the case.
So do I. I hope so too.
Talk to your accountant. Have you asked your accountant?
Well, you laugh, but I'm married to an accountant, but she doesn't do taxes. But I have a good friend that's a CFO at a pretty big company here in town. So I always message her like, hey, Josh, as my personal accounnt, I need your opinion on this. And I was like, okay, so I just dropped all this money into this building. It's used, half the building's used for work stuff. I was like, how much can I write off? He's like, well, it depends on how ballsy you're feeling.
Yeah.
Just write it off.
How much do you care to... Yeah, he's like, how much do you care to be audited? But yes, long story short, I can write some of it off as an expense. Technically, I think you have to take into like material depreciation or depreciation of it into it, and you can write off the depreciation, I think. I haven't done my taxes yet this year, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to try to write something off. I don't know what, though.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, to be fair, I think probably I will end up writing more off on sawmilling expenses than I will the shop building expenses. But
it's not like you went into building it thinking, like, I can make my shop X bigger because I know I'm going to write it off. You just, you're building the shop for you. And
that's right.
The fact that you're able to use it incidentally.
Yes. Bingo. That's, exactly.
All right. There you go. All right. So one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today is the idea of managing expectations. And I have 3 scenarios in mind, one for each of us, that are very timely to how we do stuff. And I actually have a bonus one for Logan if he's willing to address this again. So
I'm willing to address everything.
Right. So for example, I've been requested to make a shelf for in the kitchen to hold some of our cookbooks on, to have them kind of out on display for recipe and menu planning inspiration. It's been a while since the first request for this shelf has been put out. So periodically I get poked again about how soon it's going to get done. So I'm in the process of making it, and I want to address some of that a little bit later on. So I'm going to put a pin in mine and hold on to it for one of the later topics for today's podcast. But Logan, your 2-part question is, how do you manage expectations for, say, office cabinets? And
set the bar really low.
And a certain set of hand planes that you restored.
Yeah, okay. So, going back probably 2 years now on the podcast, I got on a kick where I was finishing projects.
Right.
And it was like this rolling ball I had going of finishing stuff that I had started. Okay. I made a statement that I would have my wife's office cabinets done by the beginning of February or March.
Yep.
I did not say the year. That's how I set expectations. So I didn't say March 24. I didn't say March 23 or 22. I didn't say any of that. No. So I think it's different when it comes to personal stuff because I think my wife and our families understand that we have other stuff going on, right? They do that. They live with us. They are part of our lives. They understand that we have other things going on. And I think most people understand that, you know what? We do woodworking to some degree every day, during our day jobs, all day. It's not what we do all day, but we do woodworking every day. So there are some days where the last thing you want to do when you get home is pick up a tool. If I've been in the shop running a router all day, I don't want to grab a router when I get home. So I think we get some form of slack on that, right? I think our families generally give us some form of slack.
They know us, and they've set their expectations low.
Yeah. I think that's probably that's what this all boils down to is the expectations are set pretty low for family. With that said, I think that you get to a point where you have enough stuff built up that you just have to start being very honest about it. Where, for example, I had a guy I went to high school with messaged me several weeks back, said, "Hey, kind of follow what you guys do and what you do on, TV show and magazine and stuff. Super cool. My wife and I have this set of dining room chairs and table that we're looking to have refinished. Would that be something you're interested in doing?" And I said, Brennan, if I didn't have stuff going on, I would help you out with it. I was like, to be honest with you, I just have too much stuff going on. It will be 2 years before I will get to it. If it comes here, it will probably sit here for 2 years before I get it done. To be completely honest. And I just avoided the entire thing because I know I have too much stuff going on and I can't commit. And because it's not fair to them for me to commit to do it. And when it will take that long. The aforementioned hand planes, a gentleman that sent them to me. So I did an article on restoring hand planes in Popwood a couple of issues ago.
Yeah.
And he got a hold of me in November. I was driving down to Vegas when I first talked to him. Steve Wilson. And Steve said, "Hey, really liked your article, super complimentary." He's like, "I got a couple of hand planes that were my granddad's, I'd be interested in having you restore it if you would be willing to. And I said, yeah, you know what, Steve, I'll do that for you. Like, a nice guy. Talked to him, Chad, for half an hour on the phone, whatever. Super nice guy. So I said, feel free to send them to me. I think I said, I have some stuff going on over this. We're starting to roll into holiday season, Thanksgiving and all that stuff. I was like, I might be able to find some time, but it is a busy time of year. So he sent them to me. And unfortunately, like, let me phrase this the proper way. The planes were not like, if they were in a thrift store, I would have passed them over. Okay. Not due to the state of them, just because of what they were. Like, one of them was a Fulton and one of them was a Stanley number 35. So it was their transitional. Okay. Okay. I don't usually mess with them. I just don't care, dude. Like, nah, I don't know. They're like the Intarsia of the hand plane world. And I just, like, I don't know. So I got them, and I got to a point where, like, I had, like, I took an hour, stripped them down, threw them in parts cleaner, and they sat there for a while. It then, to be fair, it did get to a point where I decided I needed to repaint one of them, and it was so cold outside, and I don't spray paint in my house. So I wasn't going to spray paint them. You can't spray paint them when it's cold. I could have brought them into the office, but I just never thought about bringing them in there, and I just don't. I would rather not, right? So yes, long story longer, it took me longer than I wanted to get these hand planes done. And Steve was reaching out to me about every week, like, hey, how you coming on them? It's like, well, I hate to keep saying it, sound like a broken record, like, oh, I'm working on it. Because, I mean, I was. It just was very slow. So managing expectations for something like that is hard. And I don't like to get to the point where I feel guilted to get something done. But that's almost the point I get to with some of the stuff where it's like, okay, I just got to get it done. Like, I got to carve out, because we all do it, where it's like, oh, it's the old, coffee break or the water cooler break. Like, it's like, all right, I've been answering emails for the last 2 hours. I'm going to get up, walk around for 10 minutes, walk down to the mailbox, get my mail, and come back. It's like, well, the 10 minutes in my mailbox, I could have sanded the hand plane tote. But I like to carve out chunks of time to do that type of stuff, and I guess that's the biggest issue is It's like finding the chunks of time to get it done. So, which is why I stopped picking up big machinery that requires work on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So to answer your question with a non-answer, I just wait till I still start feeling really bad about it, then I do it.
Right. Well, which
Yes.
I think, the three of us probably tend to overcommit on stuff and say yes to people for things because we want to help people out.
Correct.
And
absolutely.
it just ends up that we are time optimistic. And that usually runs into all sorts of issues on things that are happening. So,
yeah.
Because I have the same thing with, I teach classes for the Des Moines woodworkers, and every time I go into it, I'm thinking I'm going to get started on this way early, prep some classes, get it scheduled so people can sign up and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like well into the time when they want to start the classes where they're like, hey, have you thought about classes yet? And it's like,
I know. I have one of those on Saturday. I have to teach it. It's like, oh man. Well, and I think you're exactly right. It is a desire. We have a very particular set of skills, right? In my best Liam Neeson voice. And we like to help people with those skills. So some people don't have them. So we like to help people out. But you're right. We are time optimistic. Or it's like, oh, that's only going to take me an hour to do. And then 3.5 hours later, you're still finding the tools you need.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, going back to you were talking about your refinishing your friend's chairs or whatever, and you saying it'll be 2 years before I get to it. And it's usually it'll be 2 years before I get to it if nothing else comes up, but 10 other things come up, and so it's like I'm never going to get to it. And it's not like you said, it's not like you don't want to do it. It's just time optimistic, and things come up, and there's always more to do, and it's one of those things. So
Well, and so here's the other thing is generally most of this stuff doesn't tend to be time sensitive, and maybe that's the worst phrase to utter to one of us is like, hey, I'm in no hurry.
No big
for
deal.
This.
Whenever you get to it. Yeah.
So because then it's like, okay, I got some time, right? I have those book. Remember the bookshelves I put shelves in for my friend that her ex-husband started?
Oh yeah, the window shelves or
I still have to do those.
Yeah.
I thought you got those done because they were here for a while, and then you did some stuff on them, and then they disappeared. So I
gotta pay it. I didn't. Done. I have to now I have to install them and trim them still. I haven't done that, but
all right.
This stuff just keeps coming up. Now there are a couple of things, I have had a couple of times where it's like, oh, this actually is an emergency and somebody needs my help with something.
Yeah.
Like maybe not necessarily woodworking related, but like when we had that tornado come through a couple of years ago, came right by our house, and there was a property up the way that this lady and her husband's house and farm was surrounded by like 240 some odd white pine trees, and it broke them all off. And like it was an absolute nightmare. So like something like that is an emergency. One of our guys that does some of our color correction, Rick Belmer, he got hold of me it was early December. He's like, my basement stairs are falling in. Can you help me? And I'm like, no, but yeah, that's kind of a big deal. Like you can't walk down your stairs and have them fall in. So like that's fine. Like I don't mind doing that. And those are the things that obviously take a little precedent over anything else. But yeah, if you ever ask for something from one of us, just don't tell us you are in a hurry for it for a particular reason. It can be made up. It can be fictional. It doesn't have to be real.
Yeah, I would say it's good that we have certain deadlines on like work stuff, because it seems like you can always just keep working on something and keep, changing stuff, fixing, never quite get there unless you have a deadline.
Right.
So it's like if you don't have a deadline, you can always I always feel like I can just keep getting halfway closer to getting done. So you just get closer, infinitely close.
But never quite.
But never actually get it done. You can get that close, but it's never finished if there's no hard and fast, deadline or emergency or stuff like that.
Like say selling your house.
Right. Exactly. Right. That's a hard and fast deadline. Yeah. That seems like anytime I would kind of get a rush on getting house projects done was something to do with our house, where it was like we're getting it like assessed or to like refinance our loan or so, like something. So I got to get this stuff done, or we're having some big party, or if it's a graduation or selling your house, it's like, okay, now I have to get all this done all at once.
It's real.
Yeah.
So, but until then, it's not getting done.
Yeah.
Usually it's the projects that like are kind of like just totally random, meaningless projects. That's what I work hard on. That just have no meaning to anyone else. That are just totally unnecessary. It's like, I'm going to get this done.
Yeah. I've been feeling that same way because I don't know why. Because I'm going to have one kid starting college this year and a bunch of medical bills for both kids and whatnot. And the one thing that I cannot stop thinking about is I want to make like 6 or 7 different built-ins in my house, like right now. Plus either redo the kitchen cabinets or just all new kitchen cabinets. And it's like I just can't stop
Yeah.
daydreaming about
I
it.
say tear out the cabinets and then figure it out.
Yeah.
Just burn the ships. Burn the ships and then
Yeah. I
So-
remember, redoing our kitchen and pulling out all the cabinets, but leaving the sink
okay.
and having appliances there until like the last minute, and then pulling the sink, and then it was like had to wash dishes in the bathtub, and giving kids a bath. Like I think we had a baby. It's just like they had their baby bathtub, and just it was nutty for a while.
Yeah.
So
Today's episode is brought to you by Epilogue Laser. Quickly and easily customize your woodworking projects for added beauty and value. Learn more at epiloguelaser.com.
So let me ask you this question: do you, on something like that? I guess it depends on your situation, but like, do you go the quicker route and just reskin the doors on them, like do new doors? Because doors and drawer fronts will give it a whole new look,
Right.
But I guess if you want to change layout of stuff, that's where it gets a little different.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of both. So the kitchen one, which comes up for me periodically, I just get kind of like a, I don't know,
Wild hair.
kind of a wild hair, yeah, is that when we bought the house, had a fridge in it, and lived with that fridge for a while, but needed to replace it. And on one side of the fridge is an outside wall. And then it goes into kitchen cabinets. But that space was designed for like an old school fridge that, the like top freezer, whatever. And we'd like to have like a French door one that would be kind of just a nice fridge to have in there. And it won't work because being right up against the wall, there's no space for that door to come out to the left. There is on the base there, the next thing over is the dishwasher, but there's like a 4-inch, probably a 4-inch spacer piece there that I would love to take out so that essentially the dishwasher is then right up against the fridge. And then I could get our decent size, like our nice fridge is in the basement, frankly. And then have that bigger, because right now what we have is like a counter depth, small fridge. And with a family, there's just no place to put stuff in it.
mm-hmm.
My nice fridge is in the basement too, but that's because it's full of beer.
So there's a little rearranging there, but if I'd have to figure out how I would cut the countertop. But then if you move it over, now I got to deal with an upper cabinet next to it that needs to get narrower. Mm-hmm. The cabinets right now have the like partial overlay doors, which look dumb to me. I just don't like that style. I know some people do, and that's okay. But for me, I would prefer to have like inset doors and inset drawer fronts. So I would love to redo doors and drawer fronts and then paint them. Because right now they're kind of 80s, 90s, golden oaky, just whatever. In the one corner, as you keep moving down past the sink, I have a little kind of lazy Susan corner cabinet thing that, it just in my opinion, those kind of corner things are a waste of space. So what I'd love to do is to, the drawers to the left of that corner just extend, but then that, now I'd have to figure out, do I just cut away that section of that cabinet, in between, and then on the other side cut into that so that I could just do wider drawers and a big bank of drawers then. And yes, there would be a little bit of dead space in the corner, but let's be honest. The stuff that's back in that corner, you're never getting out anyway. So just because you put something in it doesn't mean that you've used that space efficiently or effectively.
Right. Yeah, when I redid my kitchen, I didn't put a lazy Susan or anything in the corner. It was just two cabinets.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, anything that goes back into that space, it's never coming
Yeah.
out. So just might as well not have it.
Yeah. So I'd like to do that kind of thing. Mostly doors and drawer fronts. That corner would be the one that would be problematic for me as to what I would figure out how to deal with that. But I don't know. In my time optimistic world that I live in, I feel like I would come up with something really elegant, easy to do, so that essentially the boxes would be the same, even though they're not anything special. But a painted face frame on them and new doors, I think would make the whole thing look better overall. So,
Sure. To me, it just sounds like you're doing a complete kitchen gut.
right. Oh yeah, it would definitely.
Sounds
it
like
would turn exactly into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say
Yeah.
it's almost like don't worry about cutting the counter, build everything, and just order counters to fit, Phil.
Yep.
Like no edge gluing plywood in this rebuild. No, none. Just don't.
But for all that to happen, in addition to all the stuff that really needs to happen this year, it's like money fall from the sky.
Yeah.
I know. Yep.
Yeah, one thing that I learned redoing a kitchen is like don't try to build too much because it's just going to take, like, you think cabinets, oh, we're just building a box and you slap a door on it and then you finish it. It's not that big a deal. But it's like I said, once you get that sink out, all hell breaks loose. So yeah, we just ended up ordering cabinets and then you're like budgeting. It's like, I'm just getting new cabinets. The appliances aren't that old. They're fine or whatever. And then you get all the new cabinets in there. It's like, oh, these appliances look gross now.
Yeah.
The kitchen's already done.
I mean, other than our stove, our appliances are all new. So I know that a new stove would be in there. And I already have trouble with the oven control unit kind of blinking an F1 error on it. And
Now, see, I think I guess, and this is exactly the state the aforementioned wife's office is in. The boxes, the cabinet boxes, easy peasy lemon squeezy, right?
Yeah.
Like those are you do it Nancy Hiller style, and you screw those bad boys together, and they're done.
Yeah, pocket screws, whatever.
Yep. It's the drawers and the faces. And the drawers, the drawer fronts, the drawer boxes, all that. That's what takes forever. It's like, you do one project. It's like a dining room set of chairs, right? You get the table done, and then you have 9 little projects to do 9 chairs.
Yeah.
It's like you get the drawer box done. Cool, that's one. But then you have 5 mini projects in a set of drawers.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at that cabinet I had, that bathroom cabinet I had in my old house that I had the box done for like 10 years or something. It just, took, and then it only took me a couple months to do the drawers and doors. It was just 10 years later.
Yeah.
So
yeah. See, that's actually how I manage expectations with my wife. It's like, I could be John. It took him 10 years to do his.
Yeah. It's like, look at him. You're lucky.
Yeah. Still on schedule.
Then I just end up moving, got that cabinet done, and got out of there.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
All right. Earlier today, I was shooting some video, and I'm pattern routing a recess for like a shop-made pull on some drawers. And I was using one of these little guys. So for the people who are watching on the radio, it's what you would call a dado cleanout bit. Pattern bit with the bearing on the shank end, and then the cutting flutes are pretty short. The one I had was about 1/4 of an inch long. I needed to get down to 1/2 an inch, so I thought I'd just kind of do it in 3 steps, just so that it wasn't taking too much. Working in white pine, so felt like it should go really quick. And camera started rolling, turn on the router, plunge down in, and I'm going along, and I'm like, there is a lot of drag and resistance on this thing, and it just feels like it's not going anywhere. And I get down to make the second plunge, and then I kind of look up briefly, and there's this kind of gray haze that just is filling up the entire video studio. And a little bit of a burny smell. Finally got done, routed down all the way final depth, popped back out, turned off the router, and kind of looked up. And I expected there to be a cloud of chips, because usually when you're routing something like that, it just sprays chips. But it was more than just chips. And it was a smoky disaster.
Yeah. I was actually sitting at my desk holding the dog, and I reach over and bump John, and I point at the monitor, and it's just smoke rolling out. Like, it looked like the router was on fire.
Yeah.
Which,
like, do the smoke detectors even work in this building?
I don't think so.
I mean, call the fire marshal. Jeez.
and what had happened is that for my first plunge, I went down just a little too far. So there was, you can kind of see it on this bit here when I hold it up. There's a space between the bearing and the cutting flutes. This one is pretty bad. The one that I was using was a little bit better, but I went down, and so I had this little web or rim of material that wasn't getting routed, but was just rubbing up against the spinning shank of the bit. And I just frictioned it away. In a manner of speak. And that was the drag. That was the extra resistance. That was the burning smell. The subsequent ones that I did went great. Lickety toot. Because I figured out that I had to take it in a little shorter step, at least to start with, and then work my way down. And they cleaned out. The chips were much bigger. No smell. We had to turn on our super fan and the air cleaner and vent it for a little while. It's better in here now. It's better.
So if you ever stuck on a deserted island and all you have is a palm router, a dado clean out bit, some white pine, and a template, now you can start a fire.
Yes.
And you'll be safe.
Yep.
So
that's the
exactly
lesson
how
there.
I would do it.
Yeah.
I would definitely not chuck a twig in that collet and use it like that. Start a fire.
I need a 1/4-inch stick. Where's that?
Yeah.
we should do a video on Shop Survivor of how you could start a fire in the shop.
There you go.
And then just everybody figure out the best way to do it.
Yeah. And you can't do the easy, like, oil-soaked rags piled in a corner. That's a gimme.
Yeah.
It has to be controlled.
Right.
Controlled fire.
Yeah.
Just give me that 20-inch disc sander and metal. Isn't that what I did that had
Yes.
smoke rolling? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
We had the disc sander going.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And down in the dust shroud area was still some dust.
Yep.
And
embers.
And then turned into embers. That was a nice one. Well done. So anyway, there was that. Then the other one topic I wanted to talk about is an inspired by project. And years ago on the TV show, we built this curved front wall cabinet. I'll put a link for the plans.
Yeah.
I finished, because back then is when we were doing like multiple parts for projects so that we could keep the filming rolling. And I assembled bits and pieces of that and turned it into a finished cabinet. And it turned out really cool. I love it. We have it in our kitchen, and it's kind of the coffee mug cabinet. In the drawer, we have tea in there, so it's perfect. So I want to build the cookbook shelf that I talked about earlier, but using some of these same details. So like the Roman OG profile on the base, the kind of frame and panel look on the side, so that I would have that. And then instead of one long drawer, that I would divide it up into like an open shelf on one side that I could slide on, like face down, kind of one of our larger cookbooks, and then have like a smaller drawer to the side of it. Use some of the molding profiles and the way that the front, I don't know, face frame styles, I guess you could call them, kind of have an angled look with a little cove profile. In my head, it looks really cool. So it's just kind of fun to be able to think about an existing project and then what are its defining elements, and then translate that into another project. Because I thought about making, just almost like a duplicate or a shorter version of it, but just have that as a bookcase or book cabinet. But then I thought, then it's like these two big boxes next to each other. That it's one of those things where it's like they're so close in looks that they're not right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do.
It's like, how do you complement them without trying to be so close that they're not quite, but...
Which I feel like we bring up almost once a year, because right now Steve Johnson is working on a blanket chest design from a motif that John Doyle cannot let go of.
That's right. People just keep requesting it,
Yeah. It started with Gentleman's Dresser from, I don't know what issue. I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
I don't know.
And
218 maybe? Does that sound right?
Sure. We did it on the TV show. It was a really cool project. And yeah, we had people request, like, is there going to be more to it? And it was like, no, that was a dresser that was just kind of a standalone sort of thing. And then we're like, well, I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Then I think,
Did you do I think you did
I
the
can't
bed,
remember
right?
what the story was. Yeah. But I was supposed to do another project.
Oh,
and then and then it was like, oh, well, I'll design a bed real quick. That'll fit into this issue. So I did the bed that matched that. And then it was like, okay, well, if we have that, well, we need a nightstand, and then we need a dresser and a mirror, and now the blanket chest. So now we're thinking of, like, what else could possibly, like, just keep shrinking this motif down. Yeah, maybe. Or like you said, like a little mantle box or mantle clock, or like a jewelry box, or I don't know. So I don't know what we keep doing. I don't know where it ends.
Yeah.
It's like chips and salsa at the Mexican restaurant. How does it stop? I don't know. You just end up dying eventually. Or they run out. I don't know how it works.
But they never run out. That's the problem.
Not right.
No,
so it's like,
keep coming.
Just keep going.
If you're going to keep bringing them out here, I'm going to keep eating them.
Right.
Yep.
Even though I have my order already, it's like I'm going to take a bite of my
and I'm not hungry.
carne asada.
Can I just get this to go? I got to keep eating these chips and salsa. I don't want them to go to waste.
Exactly.
That's funny.
So anyway, I hope to get that project. Now that I kind of have I have some preliminary sketches for it, and I got some material here that I'm going to start cutting up. I think it'll be a pretty quick project to build, but it was just fun playing around with what those design elements are, or what those construction details are that make a project stand out, and then applying it to something else. So, all right, one more item on the to-do list for today, and this was inspired by something that we were talking about just before we started recording, and that is shop snacks. We've talked about shop pets in the past and some other things. I think it's pretty obvious that woodworkers enjoy spending time in their shop, and I think there's probably not a small percentage that would almost have it fully equipped as a living space, or equipped enough as a living space that you could lock down in there and be all right.
The proverbial doghouse.
Right. Because I know there's some people, and I heard of one person doing it, and I thought, that's a little weird, but kind of genius at the same time. And then I can't tell you how many other people I've talked to where they have, like we all have like a shop stool by the bench, so you can sit down and, square up mortises or chop dovetails or whatever. But in addition, there's quite a few people that have like a shop recliner or easy chair.
Yes.
Some kind of a cushiony, soft place to sit. I don't have space for that in my shop, but I can understand the inclination.
I kind of get the sense, and this could be completely wrong, that whoever has a shop recliner has been with their significant other, if they have one, long enough that the significant other just says, well, you just get out of here for a bit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
just go away.
You go out there and you're like, okay, if I go back in, they're going to kill me. I would rather not do that. I'm just going to work for a little bit, sit down, maybe take a little nappy nap, wait back up.
I think visualize is what you're thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true, because most of the people that I've talked to that have the shop recliner or easy chair are retired. So there is definitely an encouragement to be out in the shop so that everybody gets their alone time that's required.
Yeah. So I don't think that first of all, I think that is going to be my new drag name is Shop Snack. But I wouldn't say there's ever been a time that I've been in my shop that I'm like, I really need a snack down here. But I will tell you, I go over to my buddy Greg's house, and usually we do that like on Sunday nights or Saturday, Sunday nights. And, we'll be working on something, and his girlfriend will make us like the world's largest charcuterie board and bring it out there. And it will legitimately have like cured meats and olives and blue cheeses and stuff sitting on the cutting board on his saw-stop table saw as we're at the lathe turning.
Right.
And it is fantastic. I will tell you, it is fantastic. However, there's two of us, and only one of us is probably working at a time, so the other person is just sitting there snacking.
Right. Okay.
So
that's fair. I like that because it brings up like there's really two angles here that we can go, and that's my discussion topic for everybody listening today and watching. Send me an email about it or put it in the comments on our YouTube section. Is because we've talked in the past about having like a shop coffee maker, like a coffee maker out in the shop, or maybe a shop fridge where you keep a couple of beverages of your choice out there, either before or after power tool use, or power tool use approved. What would you have as a shop snack that you would keep in your shop? And what are the shop snacks that you take out with you? Like, for example, if I know that I'm going to have some shop time, I usually grab a couple of Dove chocolates and stick them in my sweatshirt pocket when I go outside, and then kind of
melted Dove chocolates.
Yep. Right. But if you remember, my shop is not heated, so there's very little melting that happens.
That's fair.
I wouldn't keep anything in my shop because it's an open garage, and it would just be like I might as well just put like an "Eat at Joe's" sign for all the mice to come in. But
see, I'm like along the lines of like deer salami or something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like some form of cured meat.
Cured meats.
Okay.
Yep.
But see, like you had
like deer sticks.
Before we got started, you had talked about like a dried mango from Aldi, which is super delicious. So I could see like dried fruit.
That'd be fine. Yep. Nuts.
Yeah. I'm a salty snack
like
kind of person.
pistachios.
So, yeah.
Actually, I saw it. There was I watched a Richard Raffin video yesterday where he talked about making these little canisters that are, like a box, a lidded box basically, but it's turned. But the top is actually a bowl. So it's for nuts. And you store your nuts inside. You flip the lid open, pour your nuts in the bowl, you eat them, and then you put the lid back on.
Okay.
I'm like, that's perfect for
genius.
the shop. Like, you can have that on your workbench, and no mice are getting in that.
Right.
So, yeah.
See, now, since you had mentioned pistachios, where my mind went immediately was taking the pistachio shells and then resin casting them and then turning something with it.
You could do that. Yeah. What do we say?
One of the options.
These are all ideas. None of them are bad.
Yeah. Hear me out.
But
okay. John, you got any preferred shop snacks or just what's ever at hand?
I don't know. Yeah, whatever's. I've never met a snack I didn't like, but I think my go-to, like, I can't pass up a good chocolate chip cookie.
Okay.
So, and that's probably why I hate raisins so much, because they masquerade as chocolate chips.
See, and my preferred cookie is an oatmeal raisin cookie. All day, every day.
Okay.
They're lies. They're all lies. Raisins are lies. Can't trust them.
Although, to be fair, we are in Girl Scout cookie season.
Yes.
See, and that's kind of what I thought too, because I had a short stack of lemonades that I took out with me just the other day.
Yep.
So,
See, what I think is genius about Girl Scout cookies is they package them in serving sizes.
Yes,
so like you
I
get
know,
Thin
right?
Mints and a sleeve of Thin Mints. That's a serving. One serving.
whatever
So-
is the wrapper container, yes, that is a serving.
Yeah.
Yes.
You open it up and you eat it all, and that's one serving. It's done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's like, where did some meme my sister sent out where it was like, a serving size is what I eat when I'm trying to decide if I'm going to have any.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a sampling.
So, all right, there it is.
I mean, but you gotta like,
No, go ahead.
you gotta give it to the Girl Scouts, right? Because
Yep.
they sit in like the opening of like Home Depot and
Fleet Farm.
Lowe's and Menards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like where do we actually were talking about this at lunch last week.
Yeah.
Like where do all the semi-retired or middle-aged guys go that they probably have cash on them and they're a weakness for cookies?
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
Weakness for cookies, and they remember their own daughters being little like that, and
That's right.
It's all part of the marketing.
it's easy fishing then for that. I just
Yeah.
almost to the point that it's not
trust them.
fair. Like, it's not
Yeah,
sportsmanlike.
don't trust them.
So, all right, if you have any shop snack suggestions or preferences, please let me know. I want to hear about them. And I'm going to put out a free plan in the show notes page, and it's going to be a surprise, partially because I didn't pick one yet. So,
Cheese and cracker tray, Phil.
cheese and cracker. I think I did that one though.
The other cheese.
I did that a few
Dang
weeks
it.
ago. You would think that would
we
be
got another
perfect
snack.
though.
Cheese
Snacky
slicer.
plan.
Cheese slicer.
Cheese slicer.
There we go.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Special thanks to Epilogue Laser for sponsoring today's show. They have some pretty cool products on being able to do really fun things. So check them out, epiloguelaser.com. Otherwise, we'll see you again next week, everybody, on the Shop Notes podcast. Bye.